years, man, he killed it. And the subliminal messaging and symbolism just
Thanks
went
for rocking
right
out with
over
y'all, boy. I
all of
appreciate
MAGA's
y'all so
head.
much.
But
But let's
those who
get
were
to
supposed to get the assignment got the assignment. I got the assignment.
You know I don't do sports. You know I don't do football, so I wasn't watching the game. But listen, I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning black people from halftime. Because you remember last week we were talking about whether the NFL was capitulating to Trump by removing the term "end racism" from the end zone. Boy, did they not capitulate to Trump. When I saw Samuel L. Jackson dressed as a black Uncle Sam introducing
Hey, that got me. I was like, damn.
who then had like
what
an
the hell
entire
they
formation
finna
of
do?
all black people making a U.S. flag. Listen, this much I know. All the black people on my feed
he
were
did
like,
that.
ooh, this is blackity black black. And all the racists who somehow get in, man, were they hopping mad. So if the racists are mad, I am happy as a clam. Huge celebration of New Orleans, and you can't celebrate New Orleans without celebrating black culture. Welcome to Black History Month, you all.
You know,
Like,
one of the lines that
That's
has
wild for him
become
to
clear
do
to
it.
me
Black
in
History
Kendrick
Month. Why the
Lamar's performance.
president was there? Oh man. Oh man, on the biggest stage of it all, on the Super Bowl, like, oh my God, that's just phenomenal. Like, that just really just did some like set of precedents, this unprecedented. Like, it's just so big what he just did, and he was unapologetic, just like Serena Crip
Last night
walking again.
is 40 acres and a mule. And that line is particularly potent for many Black Americans. And it happens to be a line that I remember from my education growing up in grade school in the Bronx. And I vaguely remember what it was about. It was something that was promised enslaved people. I can't remember whether I was told it was before or after emancipation, but it had to do with the Civil War. And I've since had my memory refreshed. And it was something that the federal government promised enslaved people that they would get, and it would help them get a head start. But as with many promises given to Native Americans, they didn't come through. And I never really equated 40 acres and a mule because it was not something that really ever touched my life. But in thinking about it this morning, I never really equated it with something else that was very important to American life, which was the Homestead Act. Now, if you don't recall the Homestead Act, for some reason, there's a lot of American history that really stayed with me. And the Homestead Act was an act that the federal government felt was extremely important because they wanted to populate the Midwestern part of our country, the prairie. And so they offered 160 acres free and clear to people who would farm the land, ranch the land. I guess it was really only good for farming, but they would give free and clear 160 acres to people, and they had mapped out
Sound like a deal,
huge
though.
swath of prairie land.
What's the
And
catch?
it was white people who took that land, and
Excuse me,
that's how a lot of our Midwest cities came into being. And they didn't rescind that promise. They gave 160 acres to people free and clear. All they had to do was stake it out. And this may be apocryphal, but I seem to remember in class hearing how there was a date and they had people lining up and they set off a bell and you could just go and stake out your plot of land and it was yours and you could farm it. And that was the beginning of generational wealth for a lot of white people. A lot of these people came from Germany and Middle European countries, and they got a stake in this country. And here we have enslaved people who were brought over against their will and finally released from bondage and promised for their servitude they would be given 40 acres and a mule, and a mule. And they got nothing. And they had to start from scratch. Just a thought. Think about that.
Dang.
Think about how you'd feel
Appreciate that.
if that promise was made to you and then you were just blown off.
Somebody
Okay,
took you from your
that's
place, made
See you
you
next time.
Did you know
build a
that banks are
foundation of
offering
everything they got.
interest-free lending for an
Promise you something
introductory
and kick
period
you off
of
and
12
told
to
you,
20 months?
you
That's
know,
right.
we ain't gonna give you nothing. We gonna give it to these people over
Hi.
here that, you know.
White woman here.
Yeah, it's
I'd like
kind
to
of
talk
wild.
about the Kendrick Lamar Superbowl performance. It was
Say hi.
absolute
White woman
perfection in
here.
every way. The artistry, the symbolism, the music. You know, here's the thing. Even if it wasn't your type of music, it was still really, really amazing how each song with the performance meshed together with the message. The opening sequence when he was on the car and then he was in the middle of the flag, the way I looked at that was America was built on the backs of Black people, slaves. That's how America was built. Okay. And that's how I took that scene. And when he said 40 acres and a mule, I didn't know that that's what was offered to slaves. I had no idea, because guess what? I wasn't taught that.
Wow.
And the one thing for
Damn.
someone like me, I grew up in white America, Southwest Pennsylvania. Okay. Like 90% of my area is white people. So I grew up, the only reference I have for Black culture is through music. I grew up with Tupac, Dr. Dre, NWA, Ice Cube, Mystical, and Master P, you know, even Biggie and Puff Daddy. I mean, I hate to say that, but that was just like growing up in the 90s, right? Like those were who a lot of people listened to. My first major news story was Rodney King. That's how I was introduced to how Black people are treated in America. Like Black music for someone like me, I used it as like a learning tool. Like, oh my God, I had no idea this was going on. Like, oh my God, this is what I should, you know, learn more about. Like I took it as education. Yeah, obviously I liked the music, but I actually listened to what was being said, and then as much research as I could do at the time, you know, talking to friends or whatever, and, you know, reading, going to the library, going through the card catalog, you know, reading about things, because we were never taught things in school. I was taught that George Washington had wooden teeth, had no idea that he had teeth made from his slaves. Like, no idea, because we weren't taught that. So I used Black music to teach me. And I also want to say, for the white people out there, that Super Bowl was for the Black community. That was for Black people. It was to us. We need to take that and we need to learn from it, because that messaging and that symbolism was so important. We cannot let that slip away from us to learn from and do better. Kendrick Lamar gave us an assignment. Let's fucking take it, okay?
A lot of things I could say about Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, and it's the only reason that I watched the Super Bowl. But the one thing that sticks out to me is when he said, you can rig the game, but you can't fake influence. I'm not sure a lot of people understood a lot of the things that he said, because he is, as a
Real
lot of people
talk.
have said,
I
he's a
love when you
messenger.
said
He's a
that.
lyricist. He's not an entertainer. And a lot of Americans are looking for mindless fucking
That definitely
entertainment. So a
stood
lot
out
of
to
people
me,
are
though.
bored by it. It's like the biggest thing I've seen is people saying that they were bored. Well, maybe you should fix your entertainment addiction. I don't know. He also said the 40 acres and a mule. And if you don't know what that is, you should get a history lesson. And I really love that quote. Even above the revolution will be televised. Because what he was getting at there, if you didn't realize, is that the game has been rigged against the Black community since day one that their ancestors stepped onto this land. Even with the way that the system has been rigged, the Black community has had the largest influence on our culture in this country. I especially love that in the month of February, we are talking about this and having the Black community is having a renaissance. This is their renaissance. The fact that we are really talking about the influences of Black culture and how many of the things that we love today stem from their genius and their creativity and the influence they have had on our society.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20.
I didn't watch the game, but I watched the halftime show because I really like Kendrick Lamar. I have a 25 and 23-year-old daughters, right? So I gave them a musical education. They gave me a musical education. And I'll never forget the first time that they played him in the car like 10 years ago. And I went, who is this? Who is this? And they told me, and I was like, play more. And now I love it because when they're DJing in the car, especially my youngest daughter, she'll put them on because she knows I really like them. I want to make a point. I know everybody is doing their deep philosophical takes on the halftime show, but this is just something that occurred to me many years ago. A person in my life who is no longer in my life, but is now MAGA, right? That didn't exist back then, but we were at a museum looking at art, and it became clear very quickly that in her mind, the only function of art is to be beautiful. That's it. There is no other function of art. Like if you have to think about it, or if it's even remotely ugly, she completely dismissed its value. And she was like, why would anyone want to look at art that's not beautiful? And I'm like, and I loved my art history classes in college. And so I'm trying in earnest to help her understand why art isn't just to be pretty and to make us happy. Now, here's the point. The halftime show is just another example of people like her, who we now have a term for them. We call them MAGA or MAGA. And that is, they don't want to think. They only want a thing to be the thing. If it's beyond that, they get angry and they get mad and they get frustrated. So last night, all the halftime show for someone with that kind of brain, all it's meant to do is sing and dance and entertain. That's it. Anything beyond that is too much for their little brains. And not only is it too much, it makes them mad. It pisses them off that they have to think, that they have to go, ooh, is there like a deeper message to this? Now, I think he did a really good job of making some of the messages not so obtuse that it gets lost. I think some of it was maybe a little obvious. I don't know. But they don't like that. They don't, especially when it comes to Black and brown people, don't do anything other than entertain me, give me a good experience, and then you go off and do your thing. They don't want any Black or brown person to actually challenge us or cause us to think or to wonder or to ask questions or to no. And they would see doing that at a halftime show as extremely inappropriate to do, because your job is to just entertain us. So anyways, I don't know if that matters. But it's just something that struck me this morning, is that they're so surface level, they're so one-dimensional, that to think deeply about these things. And this is a guy who won a Pulitzer Prize for his lyrics, right? So he's obviously going to make us think, but they don't like it. It pisses them off. And just one more thing, I love all of this was happening in New Orleans. I don't know why, but that gave me a lot of satisfaction. And I nearly fell out of my seat when I saw Serena Williams. I could not believe it. I was telling my daughter, I was like, oh my.
Well, me, I couldn't believe it either. I promise. When I seen, hold on, they're like Serena Williams. Shot the count back to, damn, that is Serena Williams. That's wow. That's what's up. Like I wasn't expecting none of that. I was just constantly being
she dated Drake. She dated Drake because I'm chronically online. And she was like, yes, Mom, I know. She's like, okay, take a deep breath. Anyways, it was great.
Hey folks, what's up? I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back and thank you so much for tuning in. Actually, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was just on another level. I've spent almost all my day today watching it repeatedly and I got moved to a point that I feel emotional. I was even dancing the way he was doing. And I also spent day watching how people were reacting to this. And whatever got me moved so much was this video that I'm uploading for you today. When I hear some white folks talking about the culture, the history of the black people, the suffering that they have endured, it melts my heart. And the white folks on this video, you've heard them talking about it. They were so happy about Kendrick's performance. But what really angered me today is that you find a black folk going against whatever Kendrick did, saying that it was disgusting. And McHugh, this is a black gay Republican that is trying to label Kendrick
What
Lamar
up,
as a
Ganesh?
DEI hire. So, guys, let me say, for example, you have a brother at home, then you go outside and you
My apologies,
start
family.
talking about your brother. Do you think a stranger will talk good about your brother? This start from the family. So if this black guy Republican was talking bad about Kendrick Lamar, what do you think about other people's opinion? It must be negative. But majority of the people, almost 199% of the videos I watched today, they loved the performance. They got moved to a point that some people got so emotional. For example, the white folks that you see here, you've heard whatever they have said. It was so amazing. The message was well delivered, but people must always talk. They said that it was all about politics. I know, but the message was well delivered home. Kendrick did whatever he did. And some were also talking negatively about the Serena Williams creep walk. Like, seriously, this thing was just amazing. When they saw Serena at the performance joining Kendrick, they said that, oh, this was planned. They want to drag Drake back. I know people must always talk about this, but we should always accept that the performance was on another level. It was late. Kendrick is a genius. K-Dot did it. He's a god. And even the
Yeah, he
symbolism,
did that.
I broke it down from the last video I posted. Most of the people, like, if you have an art, the art must always be symbolic. People, it must always leave people thinking. You open your mind about the art that you are reading or you are watching. Because if you don't see any symbolism in an art, then that's not an art. So, this art of Kendrick Lamar, it was full of symbolism. It was amazing. It was well planned. Even the camera rolling was so well set. The dancers were well set. Performance was 100%. In fact, more than 100%. Because it got me moved. I've seen a lot of people taking out their bell bottom jeans. I think the bell bottom jeans is going to be sold at a very high rate this time round, and Kendrick did it.
I
And
believe
even
that
the
too.
A minor chain
I
that he
believe
was
everybody's
putting
gonna be
on,
sold at a
people
higher
are
rate
talking
price
negative
too.
about it. I don't know why. Why don't we just come out and appreciate your fellow that he did it? He did an amazing thing and accept the fact that Kendrick is a god. hmm This dude is a god. Because even the way he organized his dancers, did you see those white ladies? No, no, white, the ladies in white that were dancing. Like, seriously, those girls rocked it. I just loved the performance. It was lit. So, there are some people who are just talking ill about his performance. I don't know if you have beef about him. And someone also coming out openly saying that yes, they are not fan of Kendrick's music, but the performance he did there got them moved. These are kind of the people we want in the society. And you've heard white people saying that it's all about black culture. We are in the Black History Month, and at least this Black History Month is being celebrated so well in different ways that even the man who wanted to ban it didn't expect it and didn't see it coming. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about the white people emotional reaction to Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl, and also what are your thoughts about him? Are you supporting Kendrick? Are you proud of him? Are you proud of him celebrating the black culture in another way that a man who wanted to ban it didn't expect? Let me know. Until next time, stay vigilant and peace is all I'm wishing you. I sign out.
Yeah, I like the Super Bowl show. I'm gonna say that much. I've had my fair share of shows I like and shows I didn't like. So you know, it's like, yeah, whatever. You feel me? But yeah, I definitely had my shows that I like, shows I didn't like. Overall, I definitely like Kendrick's show, but I want to do some another part to this series, a few more parts, in fact, because I've seen a lot of opinions, and I just want to do a take on all of them. But if you stayed through all this, you're a real one. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching the video. Drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.